he literally Paul in the comics looks like that guy. So they couldn't 1-to-1 almost. Yeah, we got people hitting boxing things at Chunky's.
Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I've never seen the Titanic, but I have seen The Room at least 3 times.
And I'm Sean, and I think Forrest Gump is fine. There, I said it.
And this is Flicks and Flops, the podcast where we watch movies, talk nonsense,
And pretend to know what we're doing.
grab your snacks, lower your expectations, and let's ruin some cinema together.
Because nothing says film analysis like two friends arguing over whether Nicolas Cage is a genius or just bored.
Well, it's a brand new day.
Oh my god, bruh. Except that's not even the plot line we're going for here. Could you imagine if they actually went full brand new day? I mean, they went obviously this principle of how they set this whole thing up, sure, you get it, but Sacha Baron Cohen's dumbass Mephisto isn't coming up being like, do I got a deal for you?
Give me your marriage. I don't know what the point of that would be.
Hey, but hey, man, at least they had Paul in this. They had to at least get some of it in.
That's one of my biggest gripes, and I'm gonna jump into that in a little bit. But
we saw Spider-Man, by the way, just so you know.
We just watched Spider-Man Brand New Day here at Chunky's in Manchester.
Hughes Road.
Our favorite spot to watch movies in.
Yes.
And honestly, right off the bat, I liked it. I think we're on a streak of good movies right now.
It's been a lot of flicks. Honestly, we're gonna unfortunately have to get a flop in there at some point because
it's bound to come.
It's kind of just flicks and flicks right now, but that ain't a bad thing. It's just a testament to the fact that it's a pretty good summer for movies right now.
I mean, I had a lot of hopes on this because as you know, and you have the same kind of feelings I probably do. Spider-Man is my favorite hero. Spider-Man means a lot to me, personally.
Mm-hmm.
And quick backstory on that, too, as a side tangent. So, my parents watched this, too. All right? So, shout out to my mom for this, because this is a core memory and part of why I love... Yeah, shout out Beth. This is why part of why I love movies, and Spider-Man in particular, is because when we were in, I want to say, high school, maybe late middle school, whenever Spider-Man 3 came out with Tobey Maguire.
That would have been, honestly, dude, probably still
elementary school?
Maybe beginning of middle school.
Somewhere around then. Wow, my time is horrible. Who cares?
It's all right.
My back! Oh, my back!
So, when that came out, I never skipped school or anything. My mom took me out of school to go see Spider-Man 3 in theaters. And I loved it. I fucking loved every second of that. So when people talk about it and they're like, oh, Spider-Man 3 is so bad, I'm like, no, dude, that movie rocks.
Now dig on this.
Simply because I have that core memory of my mom knowing that I love Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And being like, oh, he likes movies and he likes Spider-Man, he'll probably like Spider-Man 3. And that launched a huge obsession with movies and Spider-Man for me. So this still holds that kind of place in my heart.
And then you probably watched Amazing Spider-Man and you were like, God, kill me.
Yeah, I watched crackhead Green Goblin and Amazing Spider-Man. And I was dude. Oh man, they got everything wrong.
It's funny. I actually have a similar core memory. Only instead of Spider-Man 3, it was another third movie in a trilogy, Revenge of the Sith. Saw that, but I definitely saw Spider-Man 3 in theaters too. I think, sidebar, why people... Spider-Man 3 in 2026, people actually seem to be kind of on the side of this is pretty dope. Sam Raimi's kind of in it. But at the time, and even within I don't know, a day, that movie came out we're coming up on 20 years since that came out. I think it came out in 2007, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know. You always think the Spider-Man movies came out later, but you got to think about it. The first one came out in 2002. I want to say Spider-Man 2 came out in 2004, and then Spider-Man 3 I think was in 2007, and it would have been in 2006, but there was obviously production stuff with it, and obviously Raimi, there was a lot of stuff he wanted to do in it that they didn't let him do.
Yeah, because we got robbed of that Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, we really did. Though I'm oh my God, if there was anyone who'd be able to handle the Clone Saga, it'd be him, for sure. But I will say, the first two, right? They have kind of he leaned more into the campiness of comics.
Yeah.
And I will say, it's like that scene in Back to the Future where it's He plays Johnny B. Good, and he's like, y'all ain't ready for that yet. Like, people were not ready for that kind of approach. Because I mean, fucking look at current Marvel, look at DC. That is what it is. And granted, we've talked about the comic book fatigue, and that, like, to an extent, some of that campiness has kind of jumped the shark a little bit. But no, I think that's. I think that movie should get its flowers, and I appreciate you bringing it up. Speaking of tonal shifts, though, this was you were the first to point this out. I thought it too. This was very different compared to the first 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and I kind of want to hear you kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, well, the first 3 are kind of like the 80s John Hughes vibe, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, like, the first one is so like that, dude.
Yeah, it's like that whole idea of like, oh, we're young kids.
Oh, dude, Vulture has Spider-Man in his car.
Yeah.
This better not awaken anything in me.
Like, it's got that whole vibe to it of like, it's a little campy, but it's like, oh, it's like it's like
it does get progressively more dark.
Yeah.
For sure.
But they have that whole vibe of like, it's summer, it's campy, it's a teen thing.
Tía de una italiana que está buenísima.
¿Cómo va a estar tu hija, eh?
$10. $10.
And I think that worked for that trilogy. But I'm glad that they took this and they're like, okay, Spider-Man's grown. He grew up in the last 3 films. He is now an adult. I'm so glad that it's like finally Marvel editorial, for some reason, hates Spider-Man right now.
Oh my God.
They will not let him have good things or let him grow up. And it's like, that's not who he is. His life is hard, but it's supposed to be that Spider-Man is not a teenager forever. He's not in high school forever. He goes off to college. But in this one, it's like he doesn't go to college because he's Spider-Man.
There is a take on that, though. I don't know what run there is a run where he, obviously not the same circumstances, but like he doesn't end up going to college, but like he creates Parker Industries.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't really have to do that in the MCU because they basically, like, he kind of borderline inherited a lot of Tony's tech and all that shit. Which is so, oh my God, there's so many, like, metatextual things I, like, want to comment on. Like, for one thing, I meant to tell you this while we were waiting for the post-credit scene. So I'm very shocked you haven't brought this up yet, that, like, oh, why is the Punisher kind of out in the open in the hospital? So there was a scene. There was a scene filmed with Rosario Dawson, night nurse from the Netflix series, like the nurse. Who was in, and she was able to like get them in. I mean, obviously, like you can do the mental math and figure that out. But like, I love hearing that they are actually integrating more of the Netflix stuff into it. Just because I mean that was always like a big concern. Anyways, I mean, I was very interested to see how, I mean, they put him through generational amounts of trauma.
Yes.
And he's literally the only one who remembers it. No one remembers him. The spell was so good that Doctor Strange doesn't even remember him. But, like, that ending, though, do we think, there's 2 ways to interpret it. Either, well, obviously he figures out that Peter is Spider-Man because MJ mentioned his name, obviously, like in that one scene, like, oh, bye, Peter. And so, like, the cynical part of me is like, oh, okay, he just put the pieces together from that. But, like, he got it through the handshake. Like, do you think there's some way that he could have remembered? I mean, and Jean Grey does make fun of that with, like, the kiss with MJ made her remember everything.
Yeah.
Dude, that was dark as shit.
I think that there is a way that somebody can remember, because I think the spell probably only has an effect for maybe a certain amount of time, or it's just like things they never thought of. Because it might be something in the back of their mind that they always know of, like, oh, I got this handshake. And then all of a sudden it's like, how do you know this handshake? And it starts the gears turning again.
That's good you're bringing that up, because this reminds me, because they kind of already explored that in WandaVision and even and to an extent in Multiverse of Madness, that even though Scarlet Witch's reality-changing shit is, like, really good at, like, making it seem like that, it is possible to break the illusion. So, good, interesting to think about that there.
Well, and I think one big thing, too, like, going back, this whole premise of the movie is Spider-Man's grown up now, right? He's an adult. He's got nobody in his life, and he's just doing his Spider-Man things until somebody is, like, body-hopping people and taking over their minds. I'll put spoilers early on for this anyway, for anyone that hasn't seen the movie.
I I can't imagine how you'd watch the. I mean, granted, that's good you do that for first-time listeners, but I think this podcast was always one of the spoilers off rip. So
I think one thing that didn't really click with me in this movie, and we were talking a little bit about it after the movie, is as Spider-Man is going through all these changes, and he's like, I thought they were going to do Man Spider. They did not. I'll be honest, a little disappointed because I would have loved some really cool body horror of him having like 8 arms and he gets all the crazy eyes. But I'm like, I get they can only go so far. I didn't love the idea of Jean Grey as a villain. You know, and I get that she is a complex character.
That's probably the one thing you and I disagree the most on this. I mean, granted, there was never going to be an easy way for them to introduce like those X-Men characters into it, and it's really interesting to hear about how they're handling the casting of a lot of that now. Just because, I mean, clearly, obviously, they have the Sony era X-Men are going to show up in Doomsday and Secret Wars, but like, do we? I mean. It's reasonable to assume that the MCU is going to have their own take on it too, and that we're not going to just dive back into following. I mean, it's easy to integrate Punisher, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Kingpin into the current MCU, but but that's because they were always produced at the same time and they were like kind of adjacent. You can't put the James
toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they were in Deadpool and Wolverine, but like you can't really do it outside of that context. But I don't know. Like I mean, the one thing the movie very much captures as far as her is that like she is always viewed as, even as a mutant, as like particularly odd, like dare I say, perceived as a freak, like just because she is so powerful, right?
Yeah.
Like. And I mean, she's not even at remotely at full power at the beginning of the movie. It's not to like put her in like the weird ass like jank Timu Cerebro where like he's forcing her to do like the mind. What was she even like mind swapping? She like doing it with like a like.
Yeah, I think it was because the visuals showed it like heading back to her.
Yeah.
But also, what that room reminded me of was in Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. Where Batman has like that underground layer.
Dude, literally, I was thinking the special effects. Yes,
yeah.
In The Dark Knight, his tracking system for Joker.
Yeah.
That Lucius Fox destroys at the end. Yes.
Yeah, it was very similar to that. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Like the weird EMP shockwave type effect. Dude, I love the way they handled her power. Like when she finally got, because I mean, obviously you only get her telepath powers, but like when she has like her growth spurt, so to speak, growth spurt that was literally forced by Trammell Tillman's character, literally torturing her.
Which, by the way, if anybody sees this movie, you're going to know right off rip that he's bad. Because if you've seen Severance, you just automatically don't trust this dude.
But he did play like a good guy in the last Mission Impossible.
Oh, true, yeah.
But that good guy was like, you're going to get like, you're getting Snarky McSnark, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting, at best, you're getting an anti-hero with Trammell Tillman's characters. Like, which Milkcheck is kind of weirdly turning into, I guess. Oh, God, Ben Stiller. Stop fucking around at Knicks games and make us the new season, dude.
Just put it out already.
Yeah. But no, dude, the way they handled the effects when she did, like, the kilometer wide. Like, think about the actual distance of the fact that her force field went that far. I love the way they handled that. I'm really interested to see how they handle her powers and other powers, just because I can't really recall how Jean Grey, even in the Days of Future Past X-Men style, I can't really remember what her powers looked like. But I mean, because in X-Men 97 and obviously like X-Men the animated series, you've always had it as like the blue shockwaves.
Yeah.
And this movie, I think, like they kind of did that while keeping it like as realistic as you're gonna get.
Yeah, they did like a cool thing where it's this effect around her that it's kind of hazy.
Yeah.
Whenever she's using it, and I thought that was really interesting. Which
computer make the environment out of focus.
Like it honestly feeds into a big thing that I really liked about this movie, and I think I might be going on a limb here, and I could be totally wrong. But I thought that this was the most cinematically stylized MCU movie that we've seen.
Elaborate.
So there were a lot of really cool shots in this movie that you would never see in other MCU movies anymore. It feels like most of those MCU movies are just like, all right, you get your shot, everyone's in their gray, whatever. Everything's gray, everything's murky, whatever, who cares? wide shot. Okay, now you got your close-ups. Like, there's nothing cool. There's no, like, interesting effects. I love that they had a lot of really cool shots of, like, inside the mask was such a unique shot. Like, you never see things like that anymore in the MCU. Like, Iron Man used to have that kind of stuff, but you don't see that anymore. So, like, the point of view of inside the mask of Tom Holland kind of looking out was cool. A lot of the stuff of him swinging was very cinematic feeling. And that it was nice to have some weight to that, too. You know, they added some more, like, gravity to it in a sense.
You finally felt like he was web slinging like Tobey. This is the most a Spider-Man has ever felt like Spider-Man since Tobey.
Yeah, and I think
Bar
a big
none.
thing, too, is, and I actually wrote this down, is that New York City actually feels like a character again.
Yes.
And a lot of the other ones, it was just kind of a place and like a setting for them to have the movies. But now it actually really goes back to that whole thing of like New York City is the environment they're in. It's not just a setting; they're living, breathing in it.
Which, you would hope that they would have always kept it like that, considering like fucking 80% of these movies seem to take place in New York.
Well, yeah,
And they also write themselves into the thing of like, oh, where's Daredevil? Where's Daredevil? Where's the new Avengers? Da da da. But then like, I like how Helena's Black Widow is kind of like, you're dealing with small potatoes, we're dealing with big potatoes. I mean, there are levels to it, right? Like even at the end of the movie where it's like, yo, chill, go hang out with Ned. Like we don't need you for hooking regular bank robbery. Like, because I mean, keep in mind, right? Like the cops in the Marvel universe are not the regular cops. Like they're dealing with superheroes, okay? Like, yeah, obviously they're outmatched, but like they're gonna be better equipped to deal with your average. It's like in I always loved how another sidebar. I always loved how the Incredibles franchise tackled that sort of thing about how like they're always kind of prepared for like the worst type of thing, and that like these superheroes don't necessarily have to intervene. I mean, obviously in the case of Jean Grey they had to intervene, but I digress.
Well, speaking of Tobey's Spider-Man, I was actually thinking about this. Between the 3 live-action Spider-Man that we have, not counting any of the TV shows, like Japanese Spider-Man. I don't know if you remember that one, the Emissary from Hell.
I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
He uses guns. It's really crazy.
What?
But just the movie live-action Spider-Man. Where do you now rank those 3 in order?
Ooh. That's pretty tough. It's like hard to like. I mean, unfortunately, Andrew Garfield's going to be at the bottom, but it's like it's really hard to weigh it between Tom and Tobey, just because like it's just different takes on the character. I mean, obviously, the big thing, the elephant in the room, is that this Spider-Man, we never really deal with the Uncle Ben of it all. And that's fine because, I mean, and not to say that Tobey's doesn't still have the bond with Aunt May, but, and this might be a controversial take, but I will say probably the one thing Tom Holland Spider-Man has on Raimi Spider-Man is you really buy into him and Aunt May even more just because of how much they, like, integrated it. So I'm going to be lame and I'm going to say they're tied. It's pretty, I can't really definitively pick one or the other because they're both phenomenal performances, but they're tackling different nuances of the characters. Obviously, there's like in the Venn diagram, there is some crossover, but like it's just a different perspective of it. Plus, you got to remember, it's also hard to judge that too with the fact that, which I guess with Far From Home or whatever the what was the one with all the... Was it Far From Home? Was that the one with the... Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With them. Okay. So, like, you have to remember, like, that's the first time it feels like Tobey Spider-Man. We never really, in those Raimi movies, it's not like he's interacting with, like, the Fantastic Four or, like, any of the other heroes, right? Like, you're dealing with him, like, and his universe, whereas, like, it's... I'd almost say, like, it would be unfair for me to, like, automatically put Tom Holland over Tobey because Tom Holland's been able to interact with the entire fucking Marvel universe and Tobey hasn't. So I think they're both phenomenal. They have merits. But I feel like you have a definitive pick here. So
I would say, again, and no fault of Andrew Garfield, but he's at the bottom. You know, it's more from the scripting, and he could only do so much to carry
Oh my
those
god!
movies.
Like think about how good he was, and it was literally the script because he was so good in Far From Home. Like
So-
there was so much potential.
I
Ugh.
feel bad doing this to him, but he's at the bottom.
yeah.
And honestly, it is really kind of hard to do like between Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire, but I would say it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a really good Spider-Man and a good Peter Parker, it would be Tom Holland at the top. But if you're looking for a really good Peter Parker and a good like a mid-tier good Spider-Man, then it's Tobey, because I think they both kind of balance each other out. Like Tom Holland does a really great job of carrying the quips over into Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And that's one thing where Tobey Maguire kind of falters. He doesn't do that a ton. And I think that's a huge part of Spider-Man's character, because the idea is as he gets his powers when he's younger, he uses the quips to kind of overcompensate for how stressed and worried he actually is.
Correct. Which Tobey's leans more into like the constantly anxious Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom Holland shows like the
Overconfident.
the overconfident to a sense of like, okay, like you're compensating for something. Like
Yeah.
So it's like there's too many variables for me to feel like it's a fair way to rate it, but it's an important conversation to have, because I think really when he first showed up in Civil War, and then obviously the first couple of these, people were like, no way, he's not holding a candle. But like Tom Holland, like, I mean, I feel like his best performances have been likely in different movies to an extent. Like, I mean, he was phenomenal in The Odyssey, right?
Yep.
But he's become a much stronger actor as everything's progressed, throughout these movies. And just the fact that we're even able to willingly, have a discussion where he might hold a candle to Tobey, I think is a testament to how good he has been in the role.
And speaking of him interacting with other people too, John Bernthal's Punisher,
Yeah.
fantastic in this. And I love that interaction they have, the back and forth in a lot of the scenes. And I think it's good to have somebody who is not even just morally ambiguous, someone who is just downright, I will do what it takes to get this job done. That includes killing, I'll do whatever it's needed.
Yeah.
As a kind of balance over to Spider-Man and being like, everybody can be redeemed, every life is important. So I think it was really cool, and especially like he kind of pushes him over the edge. He's like, why would you want to stop? He's like, come on, you can do this. Like, be yourself. And I like the whole theme of the movie is like, how far is too far? And are there parts of you that you're willing to accept as your flaws?
Which, like, you get in the literal sense where his powers are finally starting to, like, mutate. But you also get that in the sense of, like, okay, dude, you've punished yourself for, like, honestly, like, 4 or 5 in-universe years of, like, being alone, being isolated because you're so traumatized from Aunt May, and, like, having to get rid of, your friends' memories to, like, protect them because they'd, like, never be safe or whatever. So yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. You really get a lot of like, he really is the definitive Punisher, just in the sense that like he's able to carry the irredeemable parts of it, but also like the human parts of it, to where like they almost kind of, I wouldn't say force feed, but they basically put it out there in plain English, where like, when they're having that conversation in his house where it's like, you think I want to be doing this? Like, this is a sentence. Like, this is his penance. Like, he accepts that he fucked up and that he's like irredeemable in a sense, but like he has morals. But they're like, I mean, the Punisher, there's a reason why he is like considered like the definitive media anti-hero, because like, he ultimately is fighting for good, but you rarely see a character push the limits of what is good and evil like him, except for like Wolverine and Deadpool, and that's why I'm so excited for hopefully the 3 of them to interact in these upcoming ones. But
well, one thing I really liked was when they showed those changes of Spider-Man becoming more arachnid. Mm-hmm. So like it was a really cool style choice of his eyes being like pure black, like a spider's eyes would be. And I also love like one big thing that if you're a fan of Spider-Man, that if he stops making jokes, that's a terrible sign. Like that means that you might honestly die.
I know. I always think of the jail cage match between him and Kingpin, where like he stops joking, like when Kingpin literally tried to kill May like a billion.
Yeah, and he threatens to fill his lungs with web fluid. Or when I think it was Superior Spider-Man, when Doc Ock has like they switch minds.
Yeah.
And Doc Ock as Spider-Man goes to like beat up a criminal or Scorpion. He goes to beat up Scorpion.
Yeah, he fucks
and
up.
He
which they did it in this too, which I liked that they did.
He dislocates his jaw by punching him, and he's like, "Oh." And it gives him that moment of, oh, Spider-Man's been holding back for years.
Yeah.
And it's like he is incredibly strong, so they show that to you of when he really gives into the urges. He's ripping the Scorpion suit apart, and he almost kills Scorpion, too.
And then when he finally gets control of it versus the hand, like, oh my God. It's like, it really, I think I like that you brought up the debate between Tobey and all of them, because I feel like that was the first time you saw a legitimately actualized Spider-Man, like in live action with like all the like gusto and power. Not that we never saw Tobey do some insane shit. I mean, I was seeing a clip the other day. There was a clip that went viral on Twitter of like when they're fighting on that giant building in Spider-Man 3, and Venom has him like tied down on the girders, and like giant Sandman is literally beating the shit out of him.
Oh yeah,
like like Tobey like literally was like, dude was fighting like the 12 labors of Hercules constantly like on some shit. But like, and not to say that this Tom Holland Spider-Man didn't have some crazy impressive feats in the universe, because he absolutely did. I mean, he fucking managed
held a ferry together.
Held a ferry together, hung onto a spaceship.
Yeah, like, he's got some crazy strength, and it was nice to see.
But he went to a whole new level too.
Oh yeah, and I love all of the changes of him trying to like deal with what he's going through too. And even the like AI thing he has is like, you need to be interacting with people more. And that's a key point of Spider-Man, is the balance that he always has to control and like manage in his life. It's not going to be easy, but he has to balance being Peter Parker and having those interactions with society while also still being Spider-Man.
Funny you say that. In a weird sense, they don't get brought up in this comparison in the same way, but you bring that up makes me think like it's the same thing of like, oh, Batman has to have Bruce Wayne, or Superman has to have Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Because like if you get rid of that and they were solely doing, well, you also kind of just see it with you see like a solely focused on Spider-Man in this to an extent, and where that could have gone with him beating the shit out of the Scorpion, right? But like, you know, that's kind of what keeps them tethered. It's their human side, literally, you know, in the case of Spider-Man and Kal-El. But
and I gotta say, I think some of the worst kept secret of this movie was Jean Grey. I think
everyone figured that out.
Yeah, they kept trying to hide it in marketing, and it's like, well, there's only so many people in Marvel that are a telepath that can
Who put the telepath in the Marvel movie?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, so she has like green and yellow, and she's a telepath.
You're talking about the the scrunchie.
Well, even her jacket was green and yellow too.
Wait,
so I'm like,
dude, that was so subtle. I didn't even really notice that.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's kind of Jean Grey's color scheme.
And when and you made a great point. When she's on that bus in the end, it looks like she's in like, upstate New York, and that's canonically where the mansion's usually been. So
because I
think so. I think it's been in upstate New York because there's always the connection of like that's why fucking Logan like is constantly going to Canada and shit. I mean, he's right there. Anyways.
Well, I mean, I thought it was interesting because I was saying to you that, like I said before, I don't know if I loved this whole idea of like her being like kind of a villain and being like all people are terrible, but you had a really good point too that this is before she joins X-Men, really. And this is before Xavier can really bring her into the fold.
This is a Jean who's basically... Jean, in regular X-Men, has the comfort of Xavier blocking out a lot of her powers and trauma, like, off-rip, which, I mean, obviously, you deal with that when the Phoenix Force finally comes into play, which, Jesus, I mean, with how... some of the feats that Jean Grey did... I'd be terrified to see this Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force. Like, she would fuck up the whole universe type shit. Like, it's not like you don't feel like that the Jean Grey in the Days of Future Past, and even to a lesser extent, like, the regular X-Men trilogy, like, has the power, but, like, you never really feel that way until the Phoenix Force arrives. And, like, this is the first Jean Grey to me where it's like, oh, shit, like... she's fucking strong, you know?
I mean, part of this, too, is, like, there are things that Spider-Man has to go through that I think I would just have been broken mentally so much earlier. Like, when Jean takes over Mary Jane, and then she, like, kisses him back, and there's a whole thing where he's like, oh, my God, MJ, I've missed you so much. You finally remember, and then it's like, it's not me. It's Jean Grey.
That got
controlling
me so good. I did not see that coming at all.
I was like, oh, that's rough. And then eventually, when she finds the note that he's written and he's never said to her of like, my name's Peter Parker, we used to be together, like all this stuff. And she's like, you know, that's a different person, and I can see why that MJ would have loved you, but that's not me. Mm-hmm. And that, like, and then of course she's like, can you still take me home? And then he does, and he's like, okay. It's like, I would have been distraught mentally.
Well, but then he gets invited up to go, like, you know, I mean, he eventually, I'll be interested to see how they handle the rebuilding of relationship, but at the same time, I don't know how much we are going to see the rebuilding of the relationship at first, just because we got to go deal with the big events. Like, I mean, it'd be really interesting just because we see a Spider-Man deal with, you know, the primal urges with this to an extent, but eventually he got it under control. But, like, now that we have that hint that his powers could take him that way, I don't know, that little glob of the symbiote might be coming back for Secret Wars, you know? And we could see a ton. I mean, because, God, he really does play and that's one thing where I'd say Maguire and Holland are equal, but they have different takes on it, is the dichotomy of, like, Spider-Man's vicious and, you know, good side, for lack of a better term.
And one thing I wrote down here is, like, speaking of the rebuilding of the relationship, is we truly got a live-action Paul before we got a live-action Black Cat.
Which is nasty work.
That is, like, Marvel editorial was like, you know what everyone keeps talking about online is Paul. It's like, yeah, not because they like him. Like, you realize that? So in this recent run of Spider-Man comics, they have, like, Paul, who's all about, like, it's MJ's boyfriend. It's really weird. Peter's
he does make the ultimate sacrifice, though, for he makes the sacrifice for Eddie Brock's kid. Yeah.
But the funniest part of that is after that happened, all you see online is people, like, cheering that Paul died.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, let's go. This is the best thing that ever happened. And it's like, that means that nobody likes that character.
It's funny. They made Paul attractive in this, too, though, because he's, like, not really that attractive. He looks like, you know what's funny? They actually, I think, had to make Paul look like this, how they did, because the guy who plays their chaperone in the first couple Spider-Man movie, Tom Holland
J.B. Smoove?
What's his the guy with the long hair and the glasses?
The teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Silicon Valley. He's in Tulsa. He's great. I can't remember his name. I'm sure you'll put it on the screen. But yeah, no, you had Paul and then Cindy Moon, too.
Yeah, I feel like I think those are more just like Easter eggs at this point rather than anything. I don't think they're going to do anything with Cindy Moon.
They could do something with Cindy Moon.
I mean, it's hard because Marvel has a tendency to sometimes, like we were talking about this, they kind of forget things.
Yeah.
Like, they focus on the things they want to focus on and then ignore the other things that they're like, they don't really know what to do with. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, in the first Doctor Strange, at the end of the movie, in that post-credit, they had the whole thing of like, no more sorcerers. Mm-hmm. That's gone nowhere. And that movie is like at least 15 years old now, right?
Yeah, I know. Oh my God, that scene is so badass too, though, where he drains his powers.
And then they're just like, yeah, we don't really care about that. And then, you know, Doctor Strange.
I mean, they do eventually bring Mordo back, but like not even that Mordo. You get the Mordo, the Illuminati Mordo.
And in Doctor Strange 2, they might be playing into that now. It might play more of a bigger role, but still.
Yeah, I wonder.
You know, they have these things where they kind of toss some things in. I think it's more for the fans and fan service.
There's a great video essay about, like, post-credit scenes and everything. Like, if I find it, I'll send it to you, and then maybe we can put it in the description, because I saw a great take on this. I'm just like, you know, when they first did the post-credit scenes, everything led into everything. But then, you know, as it tends to be in media, some of these things, like, you know, not the best hands are suited to it. Like, not everyone's going to handle these post-credit scenes with grace and actually, like, connect them to where they need to connect. And that's where you get, like, you know, this era of, like, there was, like, literally a TikTok I saw where it was someone being like, I'm going to go over the percentage of if these scenes will actually connect back. And it was, like, the majority of them are, like, under 50%, if not lower. It's like...
And speaking of post-credit scenes, what did you think of this one?
Well, now I'm like, okay, so all of the post-credit scenes that have led into Doomsday at this point have put it before the crisis begins. This is the first one where we might actually be seeing, like, post Doomsday, because I mean, if he's in space, then what is he in fucking Battle World?
Like,
I mean,
I'm super curious how it's gonna I'm curious how the technology for the spider tracker works too, because it's like, oh, it can't find him now, but it finds him in deep space.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it was initially it was tracking him through sightings of him.
Yeah.
But like, what? Dude, I wonder. He's boys with Ned now. Is he like, I'm gonna give you my DNA, and then you can track my Like, who knows?
I'm super curious.
I
but
love
like,
how Ned is so smart too.
yeah, I think that's one thing that really I think is a very good change, because in a lot of the other movies he was like the goofy best friend kind of thing, which works again in that John Hughes style 80s movies, like 80s comedy movies.
Yeah.
But now it's nice to have someone where it's like, I love that scene where Spider-Man, MJ, and Ned are hanging out and they're putting Legos together, and he's like, well, I know how you do your webs. You do polymer, whatever, and blah, 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 science bullshit.
Nylon, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, yeah. He's like, clearly Spider-Man's like, oh, shit, you know?
If we have any scientists who watch this at all, like, can we get some, like, clarification on the scientific shit in this movie? Because, like...
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be bullshit. It's not like this
I
isn't...
don't know if it's all bullshit. I feel like the mRNA shit might be real, but, like, the actual principle of, like, the web shooters and shit, like, there's no fucking way. Bro.
Oh, I think someone once did the math on what would happen if you tried to swing, like, Spider-Man with, like, shooting webs like that.
Yeah.
The strength would rip your arm off.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, if you tried to do
Especially if the material you're using is actually fucking nylon, dude.
Yeah, like the actual sheer strength would rip your arm right off your body.
Huh. Well, good thing Spider-Man has super strength.
Well, not 6 arms, because we got robbed of that.
Yeah, true. What if they lean into that in Secret Wars? Who knows?
You know, I think I'm going to call it out. I think Marvel's too afraid to be dark like that. I think they were afraid.
What do you mean? They literally did dark shit in fucking Multiverse, and they did it in fucking...
I think they're too afraid to go full, like, body horror.
I don't know. Has Marvel really done body horror?
Not really.
Not that I can really think of, no.
I think they're afraid to scare people in the audience. Because imagine, like, kids go see this. You would terrify the shit out of kids if someone just started sprouting extra arms.
Good Lord. No, dude, I mean, fun movie, right? I mean, there's some points where I'm like, okay, we're kind of making some logic leaps here. Like,
Yeah.
Obviously they established that she can only hop between, like, a 33-foot radius at first to begin with, but, like, you know, there's the whole thing of, like, oh, na boo boo, I trapped you in the helicopter with the guy who was flying the helicopter, and then she ends up taking over Mary anyway. So, like, the one thing that I wonder is, like, okay, so at that point, but, like, I don't know, I'm, like, nitpicking, because she easily could have just been like, okay, disconnect from this guy. I know, she already knew where Mary Jane lived at that point, so for fuck's sake, she could have already been that close, right? I mean, she was in the apartment, like, interesting.
I mean, I like that whole scene, too, of her hopping through the different bodies and be like, you got to catch up with me. I can go faster than you.
Dude,
Like,
how they handle that was so cool. Like, very different take on the, they call it possession, but, like, you know, that kind of thing that, it reminded me of, like, a very kind of Marvel MCU-ified take of how, in the Days of Future Past X-Men trilogy or whatever, how Xavier did that, you know?
and speaking of a lot of that stuff, too, what do you think of Mark Ruffalo in this?
I liked him. I thought he was solid. I mean, like, I think the big thing that I'm interested to see how they tackle in the future is that, like, Jean Grey fucked up his, like, like, one thing they always hint at, and it's so annoying because he'll never get his own solo movie, it seems like, is that, you know, I mean, the one thing that's the binding thread of Hulk is that, like, he's constantly at war with the Hulk, and, like, he's at times he's found that he could, like, do, like, the whole Professor Hulk thing, but clearly in the intermediary time he was like, okay, no, I'm not even doing that anymore. I'm, like, inhibiting the Hulk. Like, if I'm becoming the Hulk, I'm becoming it on my terms. But, like, it sounded like he didn't even really want to do that. And then once she actually did turn him into the Hulk, it was like, oh shit, like, whatever mental barriers he had done to kind of, like, all that work gone. And then they sent him to a fucking psych ward, bro.
I mean, how can you contain the Hulk in a psych ward? That feels like the worst place to put him.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe, who knows, man? They put, like, him in the cushion walls.
Do you think cushion walls are going to hold the Hulk?
Put him in an adamantium straitjacket. with the sentry pressing his foot on his neck. Like,
But like, I love that they kind of referenced. There's a great comic panel. I'm not sure which run it's from, but everyone. It's kind of the same idea of everyone forgets who Peter Parker is.
are you talking about like Punisher holding Spider-Man in the hospital?
No.
Because that's also a thing.
Oh no, I was talking about when eventually it's like Spider-Man's got a messed up mask, and he's talking to the Hulk, and the Hulk is like, he says something like, "Oh, I help Banner, or I help Parker."
I'm your friend.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Parker's friend. He's like, you remember Peter Parker? And he's like, Bruce not remember Parker, but Hulk does.
I mean, obviously he doesn't actually say that, but like
Yeah.
you put the pieces together, they're like, oh shit, the Hulk, because I mean that's kind of what it. Hulk transcends. Hulk is like one of the like he's so much. The concept of Hulk is so much different than just like being this alternate Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality, which are like, of course that's like where the inspiration comes, but like. The Hulk is possible of transcend, like cosmic magic and all this other crazy shit does not affect him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it affected Bruce Banner, but like clearly when he says the thing about Peter, like Hulk recognizes him.
Yeah.
And so that's what gives me hope that like, who knows, maybe Ned recognized him. Another take, do you think, and this has been said since the very first one, do you think they'd ever go the Hobgoblin route?
No,
No.
I don't think
They're
so.
too scared, yeah.
I think they're too scared to ruin something where it's like that good of a friendship.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that
But
maybe.
like that's what they did in the comics, though, dude.
I
He was
know.
friends with Ned Leeds because Ned Leeds in the comics worked at the Bugle with him.
I was really
So-
hoping that at the party he was gonna bump into someone. And they're like, "Oh, hey, sorry, Harry," and he's like, "Harry Osborn," and it gives him like this kind of PTSD flashback of Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin.
Oh,
and he's
God.
like that. I was really
I know
hoping
that's funny
for.
because I mean we've established how multiverses work in the MCU, and we haven't seen an Osborn yet. So
I mean, there was a point, a couple of like one building that they kept almost highlighting off in the distance that didn't have any sort of like signage or anything on it, and I wonder if it's like they're building that up to be Oscorp.
yeah, maybe
You know, I was like, that'd be kind of a cool thing. And
it would.
You know, I like that there's this unspoken history of like whatever happened in Staten Island between Spider-Man and Punisher too.
I know, dude. What the fuck happened in Staten Island, dude?
And I love that they have that whole scene where they're talking over each other, trying to explain it to MJ, and then they just end, and it's like, so what does that sound like to you?
Like that's such a that's such a trope, but I the way that they handle these in these Spider-Man movies, I think this and Captain America have been the two franchises, well, other than Brand New World, fuck that, but
Yeah.
they're the only ones where like even if all the other Marvel movies are kind of feeling mid, it's like evergreen. They're somehow able to
Yeah.
turn these like things that these tropes, things that otherwise might not work, but obviously keep it a little original, and they just make it work. And that's why, you know, I mean, I'm just if Fantastic Four got me like cautiously optimistic for Doomsday in this is where I'm like, okay, we might have exited the caution, and I might actually be excited for this now. Like,
I mean, it tells you that like maybe there's superhero fatigue, but not for everybody. Because have you seen the numbers this movie is doing?
oh yeah,
It took the Odyssey 2 weeks to crack crazy numbers. Spider-Man does it in like 2 days.
it broke the U.S. domestic record.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it just goes to show that Spider-Man's like a universal thing.
He is.
That no matter how tired people are
I mean,
of
Spider-Man,
superheroes,
Batman, all of them.
yeah, it's like those are the more easily accessible ones.
Uh-huh.
And I think Marvel went through a hard time because they didn't know how to market someone like the Young Avengers or the New Avengers. Like, it's a lower tier cast of people that you're like, how do we market that?
I know, because like they have been trying to build that for like a long time. Like you kind of notice that. Like you get the Kate Bishop.
Yep. Kamala Khan.
Kamala Khan, the kid in the magic kid in the what's her name? The one that Catherine Hahn plays, the fucking witch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, I hate that I can't remember this.
It'll come to you later, and then we'll just do it in post.
Yeah. No, like they've been trying to like do that sort of thing, and it just, I mean, even like Falcon to a lesser extent, like
Yeah. And it's like, how do you market to people that don't really have an interest in like a team that's mostly discount Captain Americas? You know, where it's like, what do you have? It's like, we have really lame Captain America.
But you kind of get that in Thunderbolts though too.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Thunderbolts was like, all right, who's your team? We got discount Black Widow. We got discount Captain America, discount Russian Captain America. And we also are now introducing another lesser Captain America that has no powers in Sam.
And we're introducing the fucking Sentry, the most powerful character in the entire Marvel universe.
And I think that's why it's so hard for people to get excited about Doomsdays, because
I need a Sentry versus Hulk fight. In live action. I need it.
Well, this is the thing, right?
Like World War Hulk. Do you remember their fight?
Yeah.
Like, I need it.
I think this is why Marvel struggled for so long is, first of all, oversaturation.
Absolutely.
And also the fact that it's not only oversaturated, but it's with characters that no one knows, unless you're like us and you're a total nerd, you know.
Which is kind of the scary part of what's happening with the DCAU, but...
yeah, that's going to hell in a handbasket already. But now I think Marvel's...
Let's hope Lanterns is good. Comes out next week at the time of this recording.
Who is the guy who plays
Kyle Chandler and oh my god, Aaron Pierre.
Kyle Chandler's great in almost everything he's in too.
Oh my god, I love him. Yeah.
You know, I think that's a really good casting because I like that idea of a grizzled Hal Jordan who's like, I've seen some shit and I'm tired of this.
Yeah, it's just fun that having those two and Guy Gardner. It's like some of the casting is so good. They just got to get the vision there.
But I think now Marvel's kind of course correcting with this.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, we see what people want.
Uh-huh.
You know, it remains to be seen because I think the next Marvel movie is Doomsday.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come out till December. So I'm curious to see how... I think that's still going to do well. But a bigger problem is a movie that comes out around that same time. Dune 3.
Yeah.
And I think those are two juggernauts, but I think, if anything, Dune's going to perform better. I think people are more excited. That I'm gonna stake my claim right now. 2 weeks after those movies release, I think comparatively, like I don't know, they don't release at the exact same time. I think, but let's say 2 weeks after they release, I think Dune 3 will have done better in the box office than Doomsday.
You got to remember, Dune 3 also has the benefit of like, as far as we know, being the final movie in the trilogy. So in addition to the fact that the Dune movies have built up a ton of hype, they also inherently have that built into it. So that's interesting. I haven't really thought about it like that, and I'm really curious to see which one of those kind of ends up on top. They're both going to be great, and we'll almost certainly see them here at Hughes Road at Chunky's. But
oh, absolutely. Well, also, you know, a movie coming out next month is actually Primetime.
Yeah, Primetime. Chris Hansen.
Take a seat.
Yeah. You see how this looks, right?
What did you think was going to happen here? Like that I watched that trailer way too many times.
And me too, dude. Me too. And having Flash. Where was Flash Thompson in this movie? Oh, he was actually getting kidnapped by Chris Hansen.
Okay, there's already memes about that where it's like Spider-Man. He's like, let me check in on Flash. And it's like a little thing of that.
Where he's laying on the
And he's like, Jesus Christ.
But I like this. This was fun.
No, I mean, we both highly recommend this movie. Even if you're not like a huge superhero fan, they do fill you in enough on the details to get the gist.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to see every Marvel movie to understand this, which is a nice thing.
It is, yeah.
But they give you enough background that if you've been checked out for a bit, they're like, just in case you forgot.
Yeah, and they throw enough flashbacks in to where, like, you get a sense, but, like, it's not, like, hand-fisting it either.
Yeah,
like...
and you get a good sense of who each character is when they're newly introduced.
Yeah, for sure.
So, overall, I highly recommend it. I think it's a great movie to go out and
I like it. It was fun. It was good. One of the best Marvel movies ever? No. But, like, pretty solid, yes.
Is it my favorite Spider-Man movie?
No.
That honor will always and forever go to Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire.
I mean, that is the best one. Like, it's pretty hard to top that.
Nothing has come even remotely close to the interpersonal conflicts, as well as the whole idea of what does it mean to have great power and great responsibility.
It's also hard to top a movie where, like, that was the first time a superhero movie in the modern era proved, oh, shit, the sequel can be better than the first one, because, like, obviously they did, like, multiple different Batman movies and shit, but, like, it was always like, okay, they nailed it with the first one. Oh, and they fucked it up. But, like, that was the first time I was like, oh, shit, we can actually keep making these better? And then it's like absolute cinema. And then like the meme of like Jeb Bush and the stock chart rises up. You got to superimpose that on here, dude.
My absolute favorite part of that too is when Doc Ock is being introduced in the papers, the Daily Bugle, and they're trying to come up with a name for him.
Yeah.
And then they say they're like, Doctor Strange, and then J. Jonah Jameson goes, "I like it, but it's taken." It's like already he was referencing things that he already liked outside of that. And it's hard to get that combination of like campy horror, like with the chainsaws, like in the operating scene.
Yeah.
Like only Sam Raimi could have pulled that off. But, you know, this movie, it comes close to it.
Yeah.
It still deals a lot with that interpersonal conflicts.
Uh-huh.
But it's still not my favorite Spider-Man movie, but I think it is my favorite Tom Holland Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I think so too. I will say that too. Yeah.
And it's the first Spider-Man movie where he's dealing with a villain that's not made basically by Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it. That was my biggest gripe with the previous trilogy, was Vulture is a great villain, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, and Tony Stark wanted to come and clean up the scraps and take them away from us.
Well, you don't really deal with that in Far From Home as much.
Oh, yeah, that's the one where they're all working together, all the Spider-Men?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first two, yes. Vulture
Yeah.
and Mysterio literally are like, they just tie him a lot to Tony Stark, and I think that was always a big concern.
Yeah.
But I would say at this point, when we're so far removed from Iron Man, like from RDJ being that integrated to an extent where he literally is playing a whole new character,
Yeah.
I'd say he stands on his own 2 feet, which was always a concern when it came to Tom Holland Spider-Man, and I'm just so glad that they were able to kind of make that work out. So,
But I think that'll do it for this one.
yeah, I think so. Not sure where our travels will take us next. Unfortunately, we have a lot of flops on the back burner on streaming, so wish us luck. But we will be back here shortly enough. We're likely to see Primetime, if not another good movie, hopefully, because, you know, we're actually getting, like, good movies back in theaters. Like, people are going back to the movies again.
I know, seriously.
you
And
know?
if you're going to go back to the movies, you might as well come here to Chunky's.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, I'm Flick. That's Flop. No, it's actually Sean and Tom.
And this is Thwip.
Oh, wow. I just really fucked that up. All right. Thanks, guys. Arigatou gozaimasu.